Hello friends, it's Charlene with Charlene's Heartfelt Creations. Welcome back to my mini-series. Today's episode is Sewing in Pages. This is the cover that we made out of the board game, and I love how it turned out. I did leave these where I had assembled them, and we had some temperature changes. And so my lace and pearls did come off. So I went back through and the tape was still sticky, but I went ahead and I hit it up with a little bit of Gorilla Glue with the brush. I just brushed it right on the tape, and now it's holding very, very well. So, like I said, sometimes this tape doesn't always stick to everything as well as we'd hope, but this is sticking really well now. But so this is the first cover. This is the second cover. I still need to put a spine on these boxes here to make a book, and I will show you that in a later video, but I really wanted to get to showing you how to sew the pages into the journals. Okay, so I'm going to set those aside. We're going to go ahead and use this hot cocoa paper pad that I picked up at Ollie's. It's got some really good designs in here and patterns, and so I'm just going to go through and tear one of each of these out. Okay, so there's 14 sheets here, so I'll probably go ahead and use 7 for each signature. I like to do 2 signatures in my books usually. And so here is an atlas that I purchased at the thrift store for 49 cents. And what I usually do is I just go in and I take out the staples right in the center. And I'm going to go ahead and add these. I'm going to do a map for each signature. And then I have got sheet music. I love sheet music, and I picked this up at a thrift store for 98 cents. Alright, so I'm going to do the same here and take out 2 pieces of sheet music. That way I can have it for both of my signatures. I then pulled various reds and greens. And I'm just going to go ahead and, I'm not sure if I'm going to do a red and a green in each signature. You know what, I'm going to do 1 in each. I'm going to do a green in 1 and a red in 1. And if I decide I want to do more, I'll pull more. But this is paper that, I had the green on hand for quite some time, but the red I actually just picked up a big huge paper pack at Ollie's today. I only got paper today, so I wasn't going to do a nice big haul video on that. And then I have file folders that I picked up. I bought this huge heavy box from the thrift store for $1.99, and there's more than 50 of them in there. So I've been using these for various projects, but I thought these would be really cool inside of the journal. Okay, so now that we've got our stack of papers, you can just go ahead and make 2 different piles. I want to try to make sure that I have some different pages, like different colors in each one. I don't want them to be so similar. I know they're going to be similar just because I'm using a coordinating paper pack, but I will probably go through and change this up just a little bit. And I try really hard not to overthink it because I am notorious for that. So I can take a little bit longer assembling journals from time to time just because I get so picky about how I want to put things. Okay. So I'm going to use this as my first signature. So I'm going to set this whole pile aside while I prepare my signature. Now, these papers are white on the back side. So if you're okay with having white, that's good. But I wanted to show you a really cool trick. You can stamp on your papers. Now, I have rollers. You don't have to use rollers. You can actually use a whole bunch of different stamps that you might have. There's even ways that you can just glue your pages back to back. Also, I take these things off and I trim them down and I use them like washi tape throughout my journal. So, real quick, I'm going to go ahead and remove all of these. And I save all the scraps that are going to come off of this. If I have anything that I cut down, I try to make tags that coordinate in the journal. Or I'll try to use this like a washi tape. I did tear some of them when I was taking them out of the book, out of the paper pad. And I use those on my snippet rolls, or if I'm collaging, I will use these strips. I've been trying not to save so many of them, but if I have an immediate project coming up, or if there's ones that I really, really like, I will save them. A long time ago, I sold Stampin' Up. It was before COVID, and I have a ton of Stampin' Up supplies, and so I'm going to pull out a couple today. This is just a mat that I'm going to put down for stamping, because I am going to show you a fun way to take the white paper and make it a pattern paper for your books. Now, I see these at the thrift store all the time. These are Stampin' Around. They're a stamping roller. And I have various different ones here that I am going to be using throughout this book. I have a huge bin of these things. I tried to buy like every one of them. That's why I probably should have never sold Stampin' Up, because I bought more than I sold. But I'm going to show you, there's a large size and a small size. And I'm going to show you with the large size how to decorate this paper so it looks like pattern paper, to transform it into pattern paper, I should say. And it's super easy. There are cartridges that go in these, but most of them were foam, and so they did not hold up after so many years. But you can just take it and roll it on a pad. So if you see these at the thrift store, like I said, I see them all the time at the thrift store, you should pick them up. These are so much fun. Also, if you can't find them at your local thrift store, get on eBay. I see so much Stampin' Up stuff on eBay all the time. None of mine will be for sale anytime soon because I like it so much. But this is a fun way to transform your white paper into pattern paper. I used to use them for cards all the time. And some of my old scrapbooks have a lot of this pattern stuff in it just because I loved it so much. I would buy plain paper just so I'd be able to have an excuse to use these things. And I just take mine and I usually wash it right under the faucet. But right now I'm just using a baby wipe to clean it up. So I went ahead and stamped on this side. I'm going to move this so you can see it better. But before I did this one, I went ahead and did a couple other ones here. So you wouldn't have to watch me do them all. I love the way that turned out. But you get the idea of how it works. And so now we can go through and assemble these. You could even stamp on these, but I like to have a couple of solids in my book. And let's see, how many pages is that going to be now? So we've got 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I don't like having an uneven amount like that, so I am going to go ahead and pull a green to add in here. Okay. So what I like to do is I will take a patterned piece of paper and just my next piece of paper. How many black sheets do I have? Let's see here. Okay, so I'm going to start off with, I really like this one. So I might start with this one actually. If you remember my haul video, this is the one I said I liked. All right, so we'll go with that one there, and then another pattern piece, and then a solid piece. Let's go with a red, a map. I thought this could be really cute with like a little Santa Claus sticker on it, like a Santa sleigh or something. That would be so cute. I'm just trying to see if I have it upside down. I don't know if it really matters. No, it's right side up. Okay. I'm going to put that there. And these will be open. Let's see. And then I'm going to go ahead and just, I think I'm going to put a couple of pattern pieces together actually. I kind of like this. I like this red with this black. So I think I'm going to do the two pattern pieces facing each other. And then my file folder with my presents, my red, and my trees. I might do the trees here though. Okay. So then I get my journal, and there's no right or wrong way to do this. These obviously are not going to go the full length of the book. So I'm just going to take them and fold them in different places. There will be short pages, there will be long pages. And so those ones will be in the front. That will be my front page. And then I'm going to fold this one to be a little bit longer. This is actually really thick paper. It surprised me how thick it was when I started working with it today. Very nice quality. I wish I had picked up more of these because I went back to Ollie's and they don't have any more of it. But it's very, very nice quality. And some of these you can fold so they're not going to be real long on some sides if you fold them so you have fuller sheets. But like if you do like that, you'll have a nice full sheet on the other side. So I think I'm going to do one that's a little bit shorter and flip it. The other thing that's nice about when you have some of these shorter ones, you can make pockets if you want. Kind of, maybe, no, I like the red with that. But I like that red a lot. I think I'm going to flip this and have it like that, so this could be a pocket. I really like how that looks with that. Yeah, that's how I'm going to do that one. And then the map. I might be picky here right now. I'm not sure yet. I think I'm going to go ahead and put this back to back because I really like how that looks. And then I will put this one here. I love these snowflakes. This is so pretty. Let's see. And then my file folder, which is already folded for me. And my presents. Which way did I do here? So I got a thinner one there. I think I'm actually going to just go ahead and make this right in half. Actually, it's not lining up in half, I don't think. Which is fine. You won't even know once it's put together. Now the paper that I stamped on, I have saved so many of those from my actual class days, but I will put those in my book after I'm done with them sometimes. They're a beautiful grid page, and so I really like those in my book. That tried to get away from me. Alright. And if you know me, I eyeball everything and put it together just however. I can be really bad about that sometimes. I love how that looks against the red. So because of that, I think I want it to be right across from each other like that. Now I did do all the stamping, and there might come a time here where I go to put this together where I actually cover up what I already stamped, but I didn't know how I was going to lay it out yet. This is feeling really thick. This is a nice thick signature. So there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 sheets of materials here. That gives me 24 pages, just single-sided pages when you look at it that way, which gives you 48 pages if you're counting front and back. So see why I only do 2 signatures in each? Because that's going to give you a ton of pages. And as you fill this up, your journal is going to sit more and more open like this, just because of how much bulk it's going to have in there. All right, so this signature, you can tell that it's much larger than this, but that's not a big deal. We're going to go ahead and tear some of those down in just a minute. Okay, now I'm going to show you how to add the pages in here, where your placement should be. I take a piece of paper and I go ahead and find the approximate right on here, and then I fold the paper to where I think it's about how wide my spine is. And my spine is 2 inches, so I really could make this easier on myself. But I want it to sit in between the lace. So, and again, I just kind of eyeball things a lot of times. So I'm going to go ahead and tear this down. And I want it to be the right height of my spine as well. And this for me, like I said, this is the easiest way I have found where I don't have to really think too much about measuring. And it's incredibly easy. You won't believe how easy this is. Okay, so you've got this piece here that's going to fit right on your spine. You're going to take it and fold it over. And then fold this one over. Fold it in half again. All right. Then you're going to go ahead and unfold it. And then fold it in half. And fold it in half again. All right. At this point, I usually get a pen and mark like the intersecting points. I don't do the middle, okay? So I'm just doing the intersecting points on the two outside creases, and then I label it top and bottom, just because sometimes it's not perfectly lined up, but this is going to make it a lot easier for my pages to be put into my book. All right, and then I'm going to grab my little pokey tool. I think it's a piercing tool, and my little binder clips. Binder clips are amazing. I use them for so many things. I'll use them to make charms, but I also use them as a supply, just like this. I'll use it to butt pieces of like board up or cardboard up, just so I can go ahead and cut an even line. Okay, now we're going to take our piercing tool, and you have to be very careful. These hurt if you go right through the cardboard into your finger. So you're going to go ahead and pierce, lightly pierce, and then go through the other end. And you're going to do it to all 6 of the holes in the book. I have found this to be the easiest method for me. If you have a better way, please share it in the comments. But this has been my go-to method. Not only does this not take up a lot of space, and I've already got a million little tools around my house and contraptions, this just seems like it's very precise for me, and it's easy. I feel like it's easy. I think that's why I like it. Okay. So, next thing is, this is the height of my pages. So I'm going to go through and line this up on each of these pages so I know where to take off, because this is just way too long. But I don't want to throw any of the scraps away, because the scraps are going to make fantastic ephemera in the book. Or you could always keep this to make something else with it. And I like the torn edge look, so I do that a lot in my books. Like, I don't even mind that at all. I love that. And then sometimes you can ink it up, and it gives it even more dimension. So I'm going to go ahead and do all of these. When I do sheet music, I usually just take this here and do both sides. It's not too big of a deal if you do both sides, because it's a lot thinner of a material. But this is one of those ways that I can create while watching TV. You know, I'm not having to overthink it. I think that's why I like to watch TV as well when I'm crafting, because then I'm not overthinking everything I'm doing. So I will go ahead and get these pages prepared, and then I will show you after I finish this stack. Okay, I have torn these all down so that they should fit right into my book. And I like how the top all has the torn edge. The bottom does not. You could go through and tear the edges, but I just have the top as a torn edge. I really like that look. Okay, so now you're going to take your sheet that you made the holes in and you labeled, and you want to line it up in your crease. And you're going to take some binder clips and clamp this into place. And sometimes my pages are a little bit off, but it's not too big of a deal. Again, it's a junk journal. You can cut them down more after they've been put into your journal, but you're just going to go through and do the hole all the way through the paper. And this is thick paper, so it's taking me a little bit to get through it. If you're using things more like envelopes and newspaper and just thinner papers, printer paper, you're not going to have as difficult a time to get through. But like I said, this is some nice thick paper. I think this will make a really nice journal. Some of the things about junk journaling is, well, that I really appreciate and love anyway, is that you can do it so inexpensively. So far, we have used a board game that was thrifted, and I paid like $1.99 for it, I think. I don't know, I can't remember anymore. And then my fabric was thrifted, and I mean, when I break it down to the pieces that I used for different projects, this cost me probably like 5 cents for this strip that I have here. But then the ribbon was also thrifted, and I recycled some cardboard for my spine. So this right here is fairly inexpensive. It's very inexpensive, actually. But then my pages, I am using a couple of sheets out of books that I thrifted, and then I got a paper pack at Ollie's for $1.99. So when I can do this super inexpensive, I love that. Okay, our next step is wax thread. Now I got mine on Amazon. I use it so much, and it's like not getting smaller, so it's very impressive. And then I've got my darning needle. Okay, so I'm going to get probably about that length right there would be good. And I'm just going to cut that off and sew this in. All right. So I like to start in the middle. And I just went right through the middle hole there. And then I'm going to go right into the middle hole in my journal. And some people like to leave a nice long tail because they tie it and then have it hanging out for some beads and some dangles. So you can do that. But then I'm going to go in right here. Go in the bottom hole. When I'm selling journals, I usually like to leave the excess on just in case someone wants to put things on there. Sometimes I will add things on there, but a lot of times I like to do bookmarks and clips and stuff that are removable instead of having something that could be in your way while you're working. But then again, you can always just push it to the top. All right, so you go in the middle hole. You come out and go down to the bottom hole. Then you come back in the middle one. So you just want to make sure that you have this pulled in a direction where you know you're not going to go through your wax thread again, because that can kind of tear it up a little bit. So I'm going to go through the middle again. And let's see, right through the middle right there. It's really quite simple to sew your pages in. I know there's quite a few people who are intimidated by this. I've had multiple people ask me to do it for them. But it's really not as complicated as you might think. All right, now we're going to go into the top hole. And we will tighten everything up before we tie it off. I can't stand it when my pages are shifting and moving. And I know that can happen over time, but I would rather have it happen over time and not right after I make it. Okay, so These are nice and tight in the back. I'm just going to go ahead and pull it in the front here to see if I can get it any tighter. And I think that's pretty good. Usually I make one of my kids give me their finger so I can tie this, but we're just going to go with it today. Like I said, I don't like my pages to be loose, and so that's my only concern, not having one of their little fingers here to help me. So just tie a knot. And you can sew this in like this if you want. You don't have to. I just sewed mine in. I normally don't, but sometimes when I'm working on it and not paying a lot of attention to what I'm doing, I will sew it in. It's super easy to remove. And I'm going to this top hole to tie this just because I want to do dangles on this one. All right, so I'm going to... All right, can I get this to work without one of my little helpers? There we go. I think that's pretty good. All right, and then we're gonna go ahead and take this off. We'll remove the paper. It's just printer paper, so it's not a huge deal if I rip it. I'm not too concerned. And so you just go to the different holes and just rip it, and it'll slide right out. And then this way you can use this for your next signature to do the other side. All right. So we've got our first signature sewn in. And I do really like the torn edge right here at the top. I like that a lot. If it's something you don't like, you can always cut it down, use a paper trimmer instead. But there it is so far. The first signature. And my pages are not too big. They're not sticking out this side. So I don't have to trim anything down on this side. Usually when you do board games, you just have to trim off the top. You don't have to trim off any excess to the right side here. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and work on the second signature for this journal, but I'm going to do this off camera so you don't have to watch me do everything, and I will be right back after I finish it. Okay, I've gotten my pages all torn down to the right size, and now we're going to take this piece. I'm going to just fold it a little bit here because I think I creased it in the wrong spot when I was tearing it out of the last signature. All right, so we're going to take this piece and clamp it in to our signature. Oh, and I skipped the bottom there. All right, and then clamp that there. Now we need the piercing tool. And I'm going to just start going right through the paper. This one here, my front page here, I made into a pocket. I have another pocket in the first signature that I didn't show you yet, but I will go ahead and show you when we do a flip through. All right. So just get through those. It's really important that you have your papers clamped because they will shift and then you'll have holes going through them in the wrong locations. And it is paper, so you can bend it here and there, but it's just better when you can get it right on the crease. All right. And then I'm going to get my wax thread again. And my needle. is right here. Something else that I love about this wax thread is it's so easy to thread through your needle. So easy. All right. And again, I'm going to work upside down on this just because it'll be easier for you to see it and for me to do it on camera. I'm going to go through the middle first. And then go through the middle hole right there. All right. And then I'm going to go through the, nope, I'm going to go through the bottom hole. I was going to go through the top hole. Going to go through the bottom hole. And then going to go through the bottom hole in the signature. I've done it where I've taken this off and then my pages shift. So that's one reason why I did it with the paper right on here the whole time. Because when you have to thread those on one page at a time, oh, it can be excruciating. It can be very difficult. All right, and then we're going to go right into the center, making sure that this is tight and it's not going to go through the wax thread. All right. And then I'm going to go through the top hole this time. And everything stiffens up as you thread it through the different holes. All right. So we're going to make sure that we're nice and taut before tying off. The back looks nice and tight. Okay. And then we're going to go ahead and tie a knot right up here at the top. And you can just double knot it. I'll probably go back through and do it. I'll probably do another knot on the other side because wax thread can sometimes slip. All right. And you want it to be nice and tight. I have ink all over my fingers, so Stampin' Up! Ink can really stain for a little bit too, so it's going to probably be there for a little while. All right. You can tie it in a bow if you want. I've seen some people do that in their journals. But now I have a couple of dangles here that I can go ahead and put different Christmas beads on. I have been stocking up on Christmas beads from like the thrift stores and stuff. Whenever I see any earrings or necklaces or anything at the thrift store that's got a Christmas bead, I pick it up. I think that they make such pretty dangles. And then you can have a couple different things. All right, so there's the top. We've got 4 different strings here. I'm not going to leave them this long. I will trim them down after I figure out what's going to go on there. But let's move this, and then we can do a flip through. And this is just a piece of trash now, but that is the easiest way, in my opinion, to sew your pages in. All right, so here we go. And this journal's not done. It needs some beads, and it needs some pockets, and it needs some ephemera added to it. But I love this. This is so cute. And then it was a very exciting for me to be able to stamp on these. I have not been able to stamp like this in a long time. So that was a lot of fun. I really wish I had found some Christmas music. It does say America the Beautiful in there. Okay. This is where I have a pocket. So I'm going to go ahead and attach that later on, so it'll just be a little pocket there. And then I was trying to keep the tab on the file folder. And we're at the center of signature 1 right here. I love this paper. It's so thick and heavy duty. It's so nice. I like these reds. It's not like that red. It's kind of like the cranberry red. It's so pretty. This one here I'm debating on making it a pocket, but I kind of like the green with the green, so I'm not sure. And then the second signature starts off with a pocket. I know that is kind of a weird shape, but again, I was trying to keep the tab on the file folder, but it's unique. I really like it. And then the center page, and I thought that the snowmen were so cute. I had to make sure that those didn't get torn off, and I tore it off across the top. And the back page is also a pocket. I just need to put some adhesive on here. So this is how you sew your pages in. And you can already tell it's a lot thicker than what it once was. Once you add more to it, it's going to sit a lot more level. It's going to just bulk this thing right up. So that's the flip through of this journal. And then here is the second cover. I am going to be participating in a vendor fair, and I plan on taking these with me. They will be available on my Etsy shop first, so if you like these, make sure you snag them. I'm not sure that I'll ever find another Christmasopoly. So again, one of the beautiful things about junk journaling is how unique your item can be. It's different. There's not going to be another one like it. Before I forget, I will be coming back in with all these scraps. There's a ton of scraps from tearing the pages down, and I don't want to waste any of these, so we'll see what we can make with these in an upcoming video. Like I said, I like to use the scraps and the board game pieces and everything to add to this journal. But by the time we're done, we will have 4 journals made with the paper pack. I think I can get 4 journals out of the 1 paper pack. And then I have the 4 covers from the board and the box. And then I already have my sheet music and my maps. So 4 journals, and it's going to probably be under $20 to make 4 journals. So much fun to do with board games. So unique. Make sure you come back for episode 3. So like and subscribe so you don't miss the next episodes in this mini-series. And thank you so much for joining me. I hope you enjoyed it. And until next time, bye.